Hey guys, welcome back to Colicchio's Classroom, and today we're going to do part 2 of our Constitution video. We are going to be looking at the Constitution. We're going to be looking at all 7 articles. We're going to also be looking at the 10 amendments that make up the Bill of Rights. It's going to be kind of a lengthy video. I'll try to shorten it as much as I can. I won't go into too much detail, but we're just going to go over the 3 branches of government, a couple of the important clauses in the Constitution, and like I said, go over those Bill of Rights, what they are, okay? So, follow along as we go into our Constitution.
And it's been helping us run our country ever since then. The first part of the Constitution is called the Preamble and tells what those founding fathers set out to do. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the...
Those words make up our preamble. What is the preamble? The preamble is the opening paragraph to the Constitution. And so what 3 principles does the preamble give us? Well, number 1, giving us a more perfect union. They knew under the Articles of Confederation that our union, although strong under the Revolutionary War, wasn't as strong as they wanted it to be. And in fact, it was faltering with instances like Shays' Rebellion. It also wanted to ensure domestic tranquility. That beautiful tranquility word, namaste. Okay? It was also a response to Shays' Rebellion, this idea that the country was kind of in turmoil and we needed to, promote that this country was going to last. This isn't going to turn into, something that happened at the French Revolution where, you'd have multiple governments over a series of 10 years and each of them were causing destruction and terror throughout the society. And finally, promoting general welfare. Now, you can take that as it is. It's just the language of the preamble. Okay, that could be construed as, hey, you know what, we're just promoting everyone to be happy, everyone to be safe, everyone to be peaceful. Or you can kind of see it as, hey, promoting general welfare of the country, meaning, hey, let's move out west and take land that doesn't belong to us. Manifest destiny. Now, that being said, we're going to move into the first article. And so Article 1, okay, we're talking about the legislative branch. We came up with a bicameral legislature, which is a 2-house system, which we got from the Great Compromise, Connecticut Compromise, the 2-house, one based on population, one based on equality. The house based on population is the House of Representatives, where currently we have 435 directly elected representatives that come from all 50 states, okay? Based on population, so states that are big like New York, California, Florida, Texas, they have the most representatives, okay? States like Wyoming, Hawaii, Alaska, they don't have as many people in their state, so therefore they don't have that many representatives, maybe having 1 or 2. The Senate, a little bit different. Senate, they serve 6-year terms. There's only 2 from each state, so it doesn't matter. You can be from Rhode Island or Delaware, which are really small states. You get the same amount of senators, say from Texas or California, okay? That's the Virginia plan, and the New Jersey plan kind of just, and there, boom. You create this Connecticut Compromise, which is still till today. So what does Congress do? The many powers of Congress, okay? The powers of Congress are to raise and collect taxes. They can collect and run a national debt. They regulate foreign and interstate commerce. They regulate the post office. They deal with patent laws. They declare war. Yes, they declare war, not the president. No. They declare laws. They declare war. They also can raise an army or navy. They don't control it, but they're the ones who can raise it. They're the ones who might call the draft, for instance. And finally, the necessary and proper clause. Congress does have the power to make laws that they fit to be necessary and proper. Okay, they are the law-making institution of the government. They make laws. Okay, anybody can propose bills to become laws. Okay, I can propose a bill. The president can propose a bill. Anyone can propose a bill. But to become a law, it has to go through both houses of Congress and then on to the president. Okay? For instance, if we're going to be learning about this much later, but if I propose a bill and it passes through both houses of Congress, then it goes to the president. And look at that, Article 2, the executive branch. And so we get to the second branch, and that is Article 2, which is the executive branch. What up, Obama? Boom. All right? We have our president, we have our vice president, Joe Biden. And basically, Article 2 goes over how you can become president. You have to fulfill the certain requirements, like being age of 35 or more, or you have to be born in the United States, which does differ from the Article 1, which you don't have to be born in the United States to be a House of Representatives or member or a Senate member. President is not chosen directly. There is something called the Electoral College, which I'm not going to get into too much information about. That'll be a later video. But the Electoral College is essentially a body of people that represent the state legislatures who they elect, and they formally choose the president. There is a popular vote that does not determine the president, but it is very rare that when the popular vote is not won by a president that they are picked to be president. It's only happened 4 times, most recently Al Gore winning the popular vote, not becoming president. So we get the House of Representatives. They play a major part in picking the president because if there is not a majority of votes being selected for the president, they are the ones who actually pick the president.
So we get the House of Representatives. They play a major part in picking the president because if there is not a majority of votes being selected for the president, they are the ones who actually pick the president.
The House of Representatives. So if there is not a majority in the Electoral College, the House of Representatives will pick the president. That usually only happens when there's 3 strong candidates. Rarely happens with 2, and like I said, only happened with Thomas Jefferson. Okay? Powers of the president. Number 1, he or she cannot declare war. That's not their powers. The presidents do not declare war. That is Congress. Okay? They can veto bills. Any bills that are passed through Congress get vetoed by the president, sent back to Congress. If they pass a 2/3 majority, they can overrule him. He can sign treaties. He can pardon people, which means to excuse their punishments, kind of give them it's okay, we pardon you. They tend to do this kind of as they leave office. So when Obama leaves in 2016, 2017, he'll probably pardon off a few people. The presidents have something called implied powers, which they don't really say that they can do it, but they're implied, so it's like a very gray area that they can do. One of those things being usually sending troops into a certain area, kind of like ISIS right now, okay? It's technically not Obama's place to declare war on ISIS, but if he deems it a threat, it's implied that he's allowed to protect his interests if they're being threatened. In this case, ISIS, obviously. That's his implied power. So that's all we're going to take on the second article. Let's jump to the third. Guys, branch number 3, we're talking about the judicial branch. We're talking about the Supreme Court. That's right, one Supreme Court, the court to rule them all. Yes, the Supreme Court, okay? We're talking about the Supreme Court and then a bunch of itty-bitty inferior courts, okay? We have the Supreme Court at the top, kind of like a pyramid. Supreme Court at the top, the middle are all these like little courts of appeal. They're adorable, aren't they? All fought up by the district courts. They're the foundation, okay? Supreme Court justices, there are 9. They serve terms for life. The president, when one leaves, one retires, then the current president will nominate a candidate to go into it. Now, remember, they serve for life, and unless they do something, wrong and get, arrested, or they die, or they retire, it's the only ways they can leave, okay? They can either quit, they can either die, or they can do something that gets them kicked out, okay? They just don't get put in by the president. They have to be approved by Congress. This most recently happened under Obama. The idea of this whole, terms for life, it makes sense because it means that Congress can't be as easily manipulated by the constant changing of Supreme Court judges. People obviously think differently, hence the different political parties. But when it comes to Supreme Court justices, the idea is you're trying to rule on the constitutionality of the laws. They're the ones who are interpreting laws. They're not making laws. They're interpreting whether they're constitutional or not. For instance, if we change Supreme Court judges just as fast as we change House of Representatives members, we're talking about different bills being passed or into laws every 2 or 3 years, which is going to really damage the stability of our country. Okay, so that's why we let these people sit there for 30, 40 years or until they're sick and tired of it. Okay? So that's the third branch. Let's talk about. All All right, guys, Article 4, Full Faith and Credit Clause. Ain't that a mouthful? All right, so we're talking about legal procedures that are being upheld in other states, okay? For instance, if I break a law in South Carolina and I live in North Carolina, okay, that means I still have to follow the laws, and I could be punished if I don't follow those South Carolina laws, okay? It's not like I can go and kill somebody in South Carolina and be like, ooh, I don't live there, I don't have to live by your laws. No, those laws still apply, okay? It's kind of like driving. If I have a driver's license from North Carolina, then I have to abide by the same laws in South Carolina, okay? I can't just start driving recklessly like I'm playing Grand Theft Auto or something, okay? Now, that being said, it gets a little tricky with stuff such as gay marriage. If a couple is married in New York where there's gay marriage is legal, and they go down to Alabama or Mississippi where obviously it's not, okay, it can be quote-unquote, problematic down there because of the whole, full faith and credit clause. There was a big problem actually it was written in the Constitution about the fugitive slave law back when slavery was a thing. And it actually said in the Constitution that slaves had to be returned to their owner if they were caught, okay? Because technically slaves were property. Obviously, once the 13th Amendment, which is the removal of slavery, got rid of slavery, fugitive slave law also went bye-bye. Okay, and finally, Article 4 gives Congress the the ability to regulate new states and also rule over territories. Okay, it also said that states could not break away from the Union. Civil War problems right there, okay? But it also gave the ability to rule over territories such as Puerto Rico, Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands, stuff like that, okay? So that's Article 4. Let's go to 5. Son, I follow the law, Article 5, okay? We're talking about the amendments. The Constitution is a living document. It can be changed. 2/3 of the House which is 67 in the Senate, 281 in the House, and 3/4 of the states, which is 38 states, have to approve on an amendment, okay? There are 27 times that the Constitution has been amended, okay? The first 10 obviously being the Bill of Rights, and the other 17 are just amendments that have changed the Constitution. Amendments don't happen very often, okay? The last time an amendment got passed was 1992, so even Mr. C was a toddler back then, okay? That being said, we'll get into the amendments a little bit later, but that's all you really have to know for Article 5. Let's jump on to one of my favorites, Article 6, the Supremacy Clause, okay? First of all, the Supremacy Clause states that we're going to pay off all of our debts to foreign countries, to make sure that the markets weren't going crazy. Second part, that's what I call the who's your daddy clause. Semi-inappropriate. But I mean it in the fact that the federal government has more power than the states, okay? We talk about federalism, that divide, right? We took the paper and we divide it. The federal government and the state government. We said it was almost equal, but the federal government is the one that has the most power. Why? Because it's the federal government. This is not the state government. The state government doesn't have the power. The federal government does. That's why the Articles of Confederation were a failure as a government, because the states had too much power. If the states have too much power and the federal government can't, run, how does the nation work? It doesn't. It just simply doesn't. And finally, the last part is the oath to the Constitution. Okay, when the president gets elected into office, when he takes the office, when the mayors take office, when anybody takes office, they are swearing an oath of allegiance, not to the flag, not to the country, not to all these former other people, but to the Constitution. They want to uphold the constitutional rights as best as they possibly can. Okay? Article 7, we're talking about maybe just the ratification of the Constitution by George Washington and all the other members who were at the Constitutional Convention. Guys, that's it. That's Articles 1 through 7. We're going to look at the Bill of Rights a little bit later in the next video, but just wanted to put this one out there just to kind of, show you, break down what each article is. You're going to definitely need to know what Articles 1 through 3 are. Definitely got to know Full Faith and Credit Clause. You definitely need to know the Supremacy Clause. All right, these are all important things, whether you're learning for an EOC final or Regents final, you're taking U.S. history in college, poli-sci in college, doesn't matter. This is the stuff you're going to need to know. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll check back with you guys next week.